Chris Collinsworth, NBC Football Night in America, color analyst, and Lions and the Texans, a first-placed matchup here. Mike Tirico will be there. Also, Melissa Stark will be there as well. That'll be Sunday at 8 o'clock. Do you remember when you were in college at Florida, did you guys open up with like a cupcake each year?
No, dude, I don't remember college at all, man. No, I don't remember. Did we open with a cupcake? The first time I ever played, no, it was SMU was the first one. We actually won. California was one game, and the other one, I don't know. I've tried to forget my junior year. We didn't win a game, so I just try to take that one off the map.
Did you go to class like every other student?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got an accounting degree, so it's like you kind of had to go
Okay.
in
Okay.
that class. Yeah.
But the way college athletics are now, if you were going to pick any school, let's say you're going to Georgia, Florida, are you required to go to class? Because Jamar Chase had this answer, and it was like, oh, studying for a final, like, does it feel like that going to class? And he goes, I didn't study in college.
Yeah, no wonder LSU whipped our ass all the time. I don't know. I don't. No, I think that you can do as little or as much as you want in school, and probably get away with it to some extent. Most schools have places where you can run and hide, and if you're really not interested, but it just seemed like an incredible waste of time to to be there and not actually try.
All right, let me talk about some football questions now. If the Bengals lose tonight,
Yeah.
finish that sentence.
Not over. I don't think it's over because of the seven playoff teams that are in the mix now. It's a team fully capable of going on a run, and because of their offense, I think it always comes down in this league to, you have to be able to consistently get up over 24 points to have a chance to win consistently, and they're going to do that. I think Joe's been hot. He's been playing well. This hasn't been the Ravens' best year on defense, so maybe they can score some points. But, not having T. Higgins or having Higgins in and out of the lineup this year has just it's hurt this team. I mean, they've got Gesicki has come in there and played well. This Chase Brown has been a great surprise at the running back position for the Bengals. But Baltimore's good. I mean, they just have a way of doing more things than most teams can stop. And Derrick Henry's been fabulous and probably deserves to be in the MVP conversation and the whole thing. But it's the style that has made that, right. If Derrick Henry had gone to Dallas, I don't think he's having this kind of year, but you match him up with Lamar, and all of a sudden this looks like one of those teams that on any given day can beat anybody. As great as Detroit's playing, as great as Kansas City's playing, on any given day, you do not want to see the Baltimore Ravens.
But this feels like the game going into the game is about the Bengals. If the Ravens lose, it feels like it'll be about the Ravens for some reason. That every time we build them up, like this is the team that nobody wants to face. They could be the best team in football or AFC. And we've seen this before with them. So it feels like a loss is about the Ravens.
Well, it would be two in a row, right? If they came off and got beat by the Browns and the Bengals in back-to-back weeks and the Bengals at home, that would certainly be a bit of an indictment for them. But divisional games are divisional games, and everybody knows that. You spend all off season getting ready for three teams, and whatever comes along on your schedule after that, you just prepare in a week's time. But those three teams, those six games generally decide how you're going to do. And the Bengals, there have been just magical moments between these two teams going back. Exciting game, a really important game for the Bengals. But I understand what you're saying. It's probably a bigger indictment of the Ravens if they get beat at home.
If the Chiefs would lose Mahomes, what odds would you give them of still being able to three-peat with Carson Wentz in there?
I'd like to see Carson in that offense. We've been out there. We've done that once or twice. I feel like I live in Kansas City. Um, but I think to completely dismiss Andy Reid and what he can do with that offense would be a mistake. Kareem Hunt's been pretty dang good. They've added to the wide receiver position now that is definitely helping the cause. But they wouldn't be my favorite to win the Super Bowl anymore. But I to completely say they couldn't win 3 games in a row and make it to the Super Bowl, I don't think I would go that far yet without seeing him in there.
Chris Collinsworth will be on the call with Mike Tirico Sunday Night Football. It's the Lions and the Texans. Make a case against Jared Goff for an MVP.
The team around him, I think would have to be the answer to that question. His numbers are spectacular. They're very much they're a play action team. They're a team that is built around that offensive line that can run the football. This team runs the ball more in second and long and third and long situations than any team maybe I've ever seen in my life. And they'll go for it on 4th down. But you consistently see breakout runs from Montgomery and Gibbs. You consistently see Jared Goff going to not just a second receiver, a third receiver, a fourth receiver, and occasionally a fifth receiver. They will get 5 receivers out, put tremendous pressure on the offensive line to have to hold up and one-on-one blocks basically across the board. They do it consistently. They will give up some sacks periodically, but I think it's more a product of what they want to do, getting people out. And Jared Goff, as he's discussed with us this year, he's not going to lose the game for him. I mean, that's really his goal. He is very systematic in what he's trying to do. He is not going to give them the cheap turnovers. He's not going to give them the cheap fumble sack, all of that, and rely on the team. Now, a big chunk of this, whether or not they're going to be able to win a Super Bowl, is going to come down to they have to get better at the pass rush. Their pass rush on the edge right now is just not good enough. And they, of course, signed Zadarius Smith, who is an older player, but a dynamic guy in the locker room. I don't know if you've ever had him on the show or not, but you would love having a conversation with this guy, just full of energy and just fits the Lions to a T. But probably the thing that happened to them is Aleem McNeil has really turned into a star player. I don't know how many people know him. Number 54, the defensive tackle. They pair him up with DJ Reader inside there. And the secondary's gotten a lot better since they moved Brian Branch back to safety. He and Kirby Joseph have been unbelievable. Joseph with 6 picks, Branch with 4 picks. So this is a defense that has finally gotten to that man coverage kind of team that they want to be able to do. And they're tough, but their pass rush, at least as it's been the last couple of weeks without Hutchinson, is not good enough to win it all, I don't think.
Yeah, and I've been talking about Goff being an MVP candidate because he's had a 6-game stretch that's unheard of. Completing 83% of his passes. More touchdown. What's he got? 4 incompletions, less than the touchdowns he's thrown. I mean, these are historical numbers, and they're the team to beat in the NFC. So I do think he should be on that short list.
Oh, I'm not denying. You told me to make a case against him. So
yeah, I was curious what the case would be against him, because I think we can all agree what he's done. I don't think he's going to get the credit. And I think it's because it goes back to the Rams, that he was discarded. Like, here, take some draft picks, go to Detroit. Look, we want Matthew Stafford, and they won. But the guy's been to a Super Bowl, could have gone to another Super Bowl, and here he is having borderline historical season. And I do think he should be on that short list for MVP candidates. Is there a new offensive trend or a defensive trend that's going on right in front of us that we might not be aware of?
I don't know if it's going on right in front of you, but it's clearly what Minnesota is doing with Brian Flores, I think is almost what you have to do, because it allows you, and I don't want to insult the Minnesota Vikings defensive players, but you can, because you overwhelm offenses with the number of people that you rush or the number of people that you drop back in coverage, you can get away with those sort of tweener players that are part rushers but are athletic enough to get back in coverage and also play. So a lot of times you'll see them dropping, they'll rush 6 and then the next play they'll drop 8 and they'll be able to do all these different things. But the thing that I really like, the big change that's come out of that defense is that they used to all play like cover 0 when they blitz like that. And cover 0 basically means no free safety, no deep help. You're one-on-one, generally playing off the ball or bump and run. But if you lose one-on-one, that could be a 70-yard touchdown, right? And that fear factor kept most teams out of trying to do that. Now we're seeing a lot of that same thing. And Minnesota basically had cut in half the number of cover 0s that they had. So now they've got a team that can play 3 deep zone behind it, only 2 guys underneath and still rush 5 and come after and try and confuse your quarterback. But they don't have the risk of giving up the 70-yard touchdown. And so that ability to create the constant feel of pressure. I mean, in the game we did the other night, Joe Flacco could feel pressure on almost every play, but he didn't have the option of attacking them with home run balls when they're basically attacking him with home run defenses.
Good to talk to you. We'll be watching Sunday night. Thank you, Chris.
Hi, buddy.
That's Cris Collinsworth. He'll be on the call. Lions-Texans. That'll be Sunday night. Mike Tirico, Melissa Stark. They'll kick off at 8:20 Eastern on NBC and Peacock.